Hello to the planet, or at least those interesting parts of the planet that have the internet. My name is Trevor and I'm a huge nerd, and today I would like to discuss a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the topic of rationality. I like to keep these videos short, so I'm going to start by saying if you haven't seen Julia Galef's lecture, The Straw Vulcan from Skepticon 4, you should stop watching this and do so immediately, and then come back to this video. If you don't want to do that, I'll tell you basically what her position is, and it is that rationality consists of, the proper form of instrumental rationality, anyway. There are actually different kinds of rationality, in my opinion, but I'm not going to get into that right yet. But Julia Galef has argued that you take your emotions and you use those to create goals. You then think logically how to best accomplish those goals, and then you do it, and then repeat. And also, some emotions, like ones that are based on false assumptions, you need to get rid of. So, I basically agree with her, but I take it farther in a couple of places. One of the places I take it farther is I say there are actually a couple of emotions that you want to eliminate wholesale from yourself. And a lot of people think this isn't possible. I'll tell you you're right, but you're almost wrong. It's very possible to very nearly get rid of an emotion from yourself entirely. At the top of my list is fear. I don't have any fears at all, and neither should you. It doesn't help anything to have fear. It doesn't help anything to be offended. It almost never helps anything to be angry. Although I will say people can tell the difference between real and fake anger because reasons having to do with facial expressions generating emotions. So you do on occasion want to actually get angry for purposes of deterrence, but in general, it's not good. There are a lot of other things, even emotions that people associate with good things, I would say, like excitement, is not good because it causes you to jump guns. Uh, and I don't think Julia Galef would agree with me on this point. I think she would say, no, there's a time and a place and a season for every purpose under heaven. And I don't so much think so. I would like to just one note. When I say you shouldn't fear things, it doesn't mean you shouldn't try to avoid them. Fear is very specifically an emotion, not a state of mind where you don't like something and try to avoid it. You can still do that. Um, but I catch a lot of flack for this view, especially because I don't really acknowledge the legitimacy of not doing this. Uh, I think it's foolish and irrational to fail to do this, and I'm at the point where I I don't really acknowledge, like I said, the legitimacy of not doing it. Um, which gets me into all this wonderful trouble. Um, but that's basically my fundamental position on rationality. I define rationality, by the way, as any logically consistent interface between logic and emotion. And there are many rationalities. Some of them are blatantly immoral. Like, for example, egoism is a rationality that you try to optimize your own emotions at the cost of everything else. That's not a moral rationality. In order to be a moral rationality, I think it has to take other subjective elements, that is, people, animals, possibly other things, we're not absolutely sure, but probably just people and some other mammals, and maybe a couple of birds and cephalopods, uh, into account. Uh, so my particular rationality, in case you want to wonder, is a form of utilitarianism. It's integrative utilitarianism. And utilitarianism, though, people will say the greatest good for the greatest number of people. That's logical nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. You're being told to optimize two parameters at the same time that are linearly independent. It's just a mess. It means nothing. It's like saying maximize the number of birds and also the number of cats. No, you one or the other. If you're optimizing things. Uh, but that's just my general view on rationality. And I'd like to say something about at this point that this idea of getting rid of some of your emotions. By the way, you might be wondering how the hell do you do that? Uh, in my experience, the way that works is you replace them with humor. You can find a way to find anything humorous. You can get rid of basically any emotion and do it without what people say, like burying it. Not necessary. Now, what I will say is I'm bothered by something, and that is this idea of getting rid of your emotions. It's associated a lot with masculinity, and that's bad, right? I've not seen any evidence that women are less rational or have to be less rational, and I really would prescribe this for everybody. I don't think that masculinity has anything to do with this. I think it's just the rational thing to do. And it bothers me when people question the rationality of women, uh, or would question this program by calling it, I don't know, toxic masculinity is a word you might get. It's not masculinity, it's just rationality. So, that's all I want to say about that, and have a good day.